I'm pleased to say I'm joined now by Dr Mohammad Faisal, who's the High Commissioner of Pakistan to the United Kingdom. Sir, thank you so much for joining us here on the programme. So just on the call that perhaps you heard there that Donald Trump had with our correspondent Mark Stone, he said it's very possible by the time the King visits the US later this month that there's going to be a second round of talks. Pakistan is obviously hosted the first round. What are you hearing about a potential second round?
As you rightly said, we had a wonderful weekend when Vice President Vance was there with his team and the senior Iranian delegation with the Speaker and Foreign Minister were there. Very productive, 21 hours of almost non-stop. They had a couple of breaks for 2 hours or something. Negotiations which, as per the media, were quite successful, eventually could not be finalized. But these things take time. The peace process is likely to take at least some sessions. We are hopeful that more session or sessions, if required, would be held. Pakistan is ready to facilitate. Luckily, we are trusted by the Iranians and we are trusted by the Americans. So both sides have a trust on us, hence they were there. And we are trying to establish a mutual trust between them, Iran and the US. Hopefully our leadership, my Prime Minister, my Chief of Defense Forces and my Deputy Prime Minister would inshallah be successful and good results will come out.
You mentioned, obviously, that these things take time. It took years to negotiate the JCPOA, which, of course, was the other nuclear deal. And now on the table, it's not just a nuclear issue, but things like reopening the Strait of Hormuz and then the war in Lebanon. In that sort of negotiation, laying the foundations for these further talks, what does Pakistan think that they should focus on?
I can't go into the substantive issues that are being discussed, but generally, yes, Pakistan stands for peace and we want peace to be in the region and beyond, and the conflict to end because there are serious implications for the financial economic situation that is emerging in the Gulf region and beyond, even here in UK. Cost of living crisis, fuel prices going up. So this is very, very serious, and Pakistan is emerging as the country which has the confidence even of the countries of the region and can be the really a linchpin or anchor in the region for stability. And let's see how things play out.
I mean, again, time is of an issue because this ceasefire, very fragile, but is more or less holding, is due to expire, I believe, on the 21st of April. It was 2 weeks. So time is pressing on. And we have seen a development, which is the sort of blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. How does that change the balance between the two sides? How does that make the job of Pakistan bringing the two sides together either easier or harder?
I think there's one narrative or one position that you see on social media and one that was in the talks. The talks and the discussions were very carefully guarded, and that is what is required of these very sensitive negotiations, and they went quite well. And hopefully the next round, whenever it happens, would also even be better. So whatever is happening in the social media, which is a part of this new normal, the new diplomacy that we are having, is the diplomacy of these X posts and truth social media posts and all that. So we have to somehow see through the dust, through them, and look at the real hardcore issues which are being discussed away from them.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't yield a result, the talks that we saw over the weekend, but they were still historic because you had direct talks between two sides that haven't had these kinds of direct talks in decades. From what you've heard, what was the atmosphere like? Is there anything that might, I don't know, give perhaps signs of optimism about how the two sides actually got on?
The biggest optimism was the happening of the talks, because after 1979, the two sides had not sat across each other. This happened, and this happened because both were ready to come to Pakistan. The venue is very important, a country which has the credibility to host that. So this is the biggest ambiance, whatever you call it, body language, as they say, everything. This is the most important part, that they agreed that this is the place where we want to come and sit face to face and talk. Generally, they went quite well.
Let me put a point to you that we heard from the head of the UN's nuclear watchdog, which is IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi. Now, he said he's the head of the UN nuclear watchdog, and he said that any agreement on the Iranian nuclear program between the US and Iran without the International Atomic Energy Agency would be an illusion. Do you agree with that?
I am no one to comment on it, but any agreement...
But forgive me, is Pakistan trying to reach out to the IAEA? Because judging by the comments here by Rafael Grossi, it would seem not.
Pakistan is a facilitator. There are two warring parties who are welcomed to Pakistan to sit and talk. How that pans out between them and subsequently with the international community is yet to be seen. I can't prejudge that now.
Okay. Just looking forward, I mean, there is this deadline looming of just under a week from now. How do you predict or hope things will unfold over the next few days?
I'm very hopeful that there would be a second round, if required more than that, hopefully soon. And there's so much of information coming in that just before I was coming in, there was another post about the extension of this deadline. I'm not sure how correct that is. So we have to, take a step back and look at it with a careful consideration. There's so much going on, but the message, which is consistent and very strong, is that peace is the objective. Pakistan is facilitating. Good things are expected.
These are obviously incredibly difficult talks because of, that there's an ongoing fight, even though now there's a ceasefire, because of the countries involved, arguably because of the personalities involved as well. How does Pakistan itself help in it? Why is Pakistan, in your opinion, the right country to facilitate?
It's a good question. Pakistan is an immediate neighbor of Iran. So things that happen in Iran directly impact us. Iran was the first country to recognize Pakistan in 1947. We have a very special bond with the Americans, which has transcended the last 50, 60 years, and we have had partnerships with the Americans. So we are in the right position to bridge the gap because we have the relationships with very effective embassies, contacts with both the leaderships. Hence, it happened. Otherwise, there were so many challenges. Eventually, when things come out and more information can be shared, you will get to know, and the world would get to know the challenges that Pakistan's leadership faced in bridging that gap until the end of the talks, and they continued with that. But the talks happened, 21 hours, very successful. There's talk of the next round. It is happening because we are trusted.
You mentioned that Pakistan has a strong relationship with the United States, and of course you are here as the High Commissioner to the UK. One of the things that we heard in that phone call between Donald Trump and Mark Stone, but he said it before, is a tension in the so-called special relationship between the US and the UK. How have you been reading that, and how important, if you think it is the so-called special relationship between the UK and US to global stability?
It's a very difficult question to a High Commissioner who is posted in London because I can't comment on the bilateral relations between UK and US. I definitely can say that we have an excellent bond with the British government here. The British Prime Minister spoke with my Prime Minister Friday evening. That is just before the dialogue on Saturday morning. And Madame Cooper, Yvette Cooper, and my Deputy Prime Minister have spoken twice in the last 4 or 5 days. Similarly, we have contacts in Washington, D.C. So things are very good, but I can't comment on their bilateral relations.
And let me just end with a question on a slightly different topic, and that is former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, who is in solitary confinement. He's in prison, and a little while ago, a few days ago, we spoke to his sons, his family, and now they fear they may never see him again. That's what they told us. Will you allow them and his family to go visit him in prison, and will you guarantee that the sons will be safe in Pakistan?
The legal processes are working. We have already asked the sons to apply for a visa if they want to go, or there's a national ID card that they can go without visa also. There's nothing to worry there. The Pakistan courts are working, and I can assure you that the legal processes would be followed in dealing with the issue.
So, I mean, as they asked, do you guarantee their safety? If
there's no guarantee required. All guarantees, of course, there. If anyone comes in our jurisdiction, it is the duty of the government of Pakistan to provide protection. If we can guarantee talks for the Americans and Iranians, I think this is a small issue.
And they could see their father?
I'm not sure. They have to make a request, and I can't solve it sitting here. But of course, they can request, and it will be replied.
Okay. Dr. Mohammad Faisal, High Commissioner of Pakistan to the United Kingdom. Sir, thank you so much.
Thank you.